Yo, what's up, guys? This is Street Champs. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Rocky Mountain Blaze.
RMB.
Hell yeah. Mention Street Champs at Rocky Mountain Blaze. Get 5% off your whole order. We got fucking...
Damn, they hooking it up.
Hell yeah. We got Puff Puffette Pass in the house tonight. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, Deryk. How are you, man? Thanks
Hell
for
yeah.
having me.
For sure, bro. Thanks for coming. Excited to have you.
Absolutely, man.
Hell yeah. So tell the people about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Cooper Watts. I own Puff Puffette Pass, like Deryk said, which is a ice cream and waffle food truck right here in Pueblo, Colorado. Just something I saw a friend showed me online on Instagram, was like, look at this, man. You could do this so easy in a food truck. And I just kind of got obsessed with it and started like researching it, following all the hashtags, found local ice cream suppliers that I like through, extensive market research. Like, I love to eat ice cream, so what a great job that is to have. And came up with my waffle recipe and got it going about 3 years ago now today.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. 3 years today.
Yeah, I want to say it was in November of 2018 when I first took it out.
Wow, man.
Sorry, 2018, right?
Wow.
21, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Maybe it was 19. I'm really bad at math right now. We did, little pre-game session before we started recording, so I'm definitely feeling that.
Yeah, I definitely feel that.
For sure.
Yeah. So you started it in November. That's kind of a different time to start a ice cream food truck.
Yeah, so I was trying that year. I was really trying to get it going in the summertime, but I was working as a dispensary manager, which requires a lot of attention. About 40 to 60 hours a week minimum. So at that time, I couldn't get it done in the summer. I was really bummed out. But there was an event called Sensi Night that was being hosted at the Union Depot, and I was friends with the Sensi organizers at the time, and obviously I still am. Hey, what's up, y'all? How you doing at Sensi Magazine?
Shout out Sensi.
Yeah, for sure, for having me for my first event back in, I guess, 2019. And so we showed up with the food truck. I did hot chocolate and waffles, ice cream, excuse me. And at the time, my helper got sick. My first day out, my helper got sick and had to leave. So I was completely solo. It was like a shit show from beginning to end for me. But I figured it out. It was a shit show at first. And I just kept progressing and kept getting better at the service. And then adding employees eventually to kind of smooth along the process. But yeah, that was our first event. It was at night, super cold in November. And we were doing ice cream. But that's kind of where I've been at from the beginning. Everyone's like, this shit ain't gonna work. What are you doing? And I just did it anyway. And it ends up working. Like, if you believe in yourself and you're passionate about what you do, like, that's what's important. That's what shines through eventually. So,
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up right here in Pueblo, Colorado. My family moved here in 86, and maybe 85. So I was like 5-6 years old, right on the cusp there. And I moved away in 1998, and moved back in 2010 to go to college and get my degree in economics, and then back to Denver. I lived in Fort Collins and Denver mostly, other than here. A year in San Diego, California, too. Mm-hmm. That was pretty fun. I used to work for Whole Foods Market as a fishmonger and a butcher. And so I was like, screw it. There's Whole Foods everywhere. I'm going to go live in California for a year. Just kind of like a fun vacation where I had a job. It was pretty cool, but expensive. And I was happy to come back to Colorado and see the seasons again. You don't get an autumn near the coast in California. It's just green, hot, and sunny. Every day, hot and sunny.
The same thing. What's a fishmonger?
A fishmonger is like a person who sells fish. So not a fisherman, but the person that sells fish at the market.
Oh.
It's just a fancy name for, seafood department at a grocery store.
Hell yeah. So how old are you?
I'm 41.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm 24.
Nice. Yeah. So we got almost a generation between us. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people my age growing up in Pueblo, they already have kids that are adults, you know what I mean? And I'm 41, no kids, so it's hard for me to relate with that sometimes, like with my own generation, because I don't have kids. So I'm like, I missed that whole part. Just kind of focused on me.
Definitely. Do you want kids?
Yeah, for sure. I could see being a dad, absolutely. But at this point, I'm gonna be like the dad who's 60 when he takes his kid to college. But whatever.
I mean, that's fair, bro. Like, that's kind of how my dad was.
Right.
Yeah.
You can still be probably a better parent when you're older, but who knows? Maybe it's better to just do it and get into it when you're young. Guess I'll never know that, but
You know, I mean, it's never too late, man. Just go adopt one.
for sure.
Nah, I don't know
Be
about
that
that.
single parent with the adopted kid. My mom's actually was adopted. My mom is an identical twin, and her and her twin were adopted by a family in Kansas. So like I've always thought about that. Like I wouldn't be here without adoption. So if I ever do decide to like start a family, I would probably do that. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
There's kids out there that need homes.
Your parents still together?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like rare in this day and age, but yeah, my parents have been married, gosh, since I think the late 70s, like maybe 78.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple years before they had me.
Heck yeah. From Kansas, you said they moved?
So yeah, we were in Garden City, Kansas, but my parents are both from that area. My dad was born in Oklahoma, my mom in central Kansas, but we were living in western Kansas before we moved out here.
Sorry, man. The weed has me caught in throat.
Yeah,
caught in
it's the
mouth.
same, man.
Yeah, shout out Rocky.
The wax on the J gets the throat a little coated.
Exactly. Shout out Rocky Mountain Blaze for the weed. I don't think I shouted him out yet, but we're about to roll up some of this Kushmas Christmas. What do you think of this nug?
I mean, it looks like a Christmas tree. Look at that shit.
Oh no, Kushmas Cannabis.
Okay, word.
Kushmas Cannabis.
But still, it's Merry Kushmas over here. Look at that Christmas tree. Yeah, they got good taste at Rocky Mountain Blaze. They got some good bud.
Were you smoking in high school growing up?
I was, yeah. I was on that brick life, that struggle life. You had the pipe that screwed together.
Oh shit.
And you're smoking brick that had like gasoline or oil. Or a trick that was popular back then in the mid 90s was to put BBs in a sack. So you buy what you thought was 7 grams and you find 2 BBs in it, so it's 5 grams because each BB weighs a gram.
What?
So people would scam your ass with BBs back then, yeah.
I never fucking heard that, man.
Yeah, oh yeah, we'd find weird shit in our weed back in those days.
Oh my gosh.
It was awful. And then like I moved to Fort Collins because I had friends up there, and I went to visit and smoked some like killer like what back then we called kind bud, but some good shit like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm moving up to Fort Collins. I'm gonna go live up there. They got real weed. We just had that struggle life down here, sticks and stems. Only way to get higher was to roll a fatter blunt, or to like I said, we had them screw together pipes. So you put weed in the middle. It's called chamber weed, and then you resonated your weed. Like that's how dumb we were. And like to make it a little bit stronger, you add some resin to it. Like it's so disgusting, but that's what we would do. Or we would roll up all our roaches together, like a generation joint. Man, this is gonna get you so lit.
That's what you guys called it?
A generation joint, yeah. But really, you're just. Like I sound right now. Afterwards, you're just, oh my god, you're just dying.
Damn. Is that what kind of influenced the name of your food truck, Puff Puffette Pass?
Yeah, man. I've always, like I said, and since the mid '90s, been a part of the cannabis culture. Like I always loved it. I was that dude with the black lights and the tie dye shirt in the '90s, like listening to the stoner music, getting into hip hop as like, a gringo, like. I was doing that thing as a stoner in the 90s, and I still am, so it's always influenced me. I worked in the weed industry for several years, and, like, I feel like stoner food is so fun and creative that it needed to be shared with the general public. Like, I want to end the stigma about stoners. Like, it's always been, those dudes are lazy. They're not hard workers. Like, well, bullshit, Like, I run my own business, like, and I work my ass off every day, but I get stoned too. It's just like about how you apply yourself. Like if you're lazy, you're lazy. There ain't much gonna change that except you. And if you're lazy and you smoke weed, then you got those two things added together. It's not like smoking weed makes you lazy. It just may make lazy people even lazier. Possibly. Who knows? But yeah, I wanted to share stoner food with the world. So what better place to do that in my hometown, Pueblo? And like I always say, like, it's from the mind of a stoner, but it's safe for the whole family.
Sorry, man. My cat.
Oh, no worries. I love cats.
No, my cat. Sometimes
cute-ass cat.
She'll just go crazy, and I just got to spray her with the cat gat.
Oh,
Something I called it. Yeah. But Yeah, so you were influenced by being a stoner. You've always been a stoner.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I'm full of weed, but there's none in the food. Is another thing I always say. Like, if people ask, like, "Are you sure?" Like, nah, that would be totally unethical and illegal. I just want to share like some of the crazy shit that stoners come up with when they're high and hungry with like people that don't even smoke weed. Because why not? Like, everybody loves food. We could all share that together and share that common bond, and kind of hopefully get over that whole like stigma around cannabis, especially since it's legal. Like, we live in Colorado, one of the first places to legalize, and like, although our laws are getting a bit like restrictive for the industry, like, it's really highly regulated. I remember when we voted on this and changed our constitution, it said regulate like alcohol. Like, what liquor store do you know that's regulated like a dispensary? It's regulated like weapons grade plutonium. Like, you have to have a clearance, and hold on, here's my lanyard, and oh gosh, and here's my membership number. Like, you're punching in your phone. No, you got to give them all this shit. It's like, yo, I thought we said this was legal, and we should regulate it like alcohol. Like, if it's like alcohol, you should be able to go to a bar and consume it. But that's like passed in the state. It's not passed in Pueblo. City council, I think the mayor is like open-minded to it, but city council was very against that. That was actually the only time I ever spoke in front of city council, was to be like, hey, I own like a weed-themed business. Like, I'm not the only business that would benefit from allowing like cannabis clubs in Pueblo. Like, that would be my crowd. I could park right there when there's events, and hey, we got stoners and their munchies. Like, tax-paying businesses benefiting from opening up cannabis tourism, but I don't know, for whatever reason, they didn't want to be known with weed. They don't want Pueblo to be known with weed, which is weird to me. We're known for way worse shit than that. Like, being known for weed is actually a good thing. Like, hey, we're good at something. Dude, look at this shit. Look at that nug right there. You can't get that in Kansas, but you can in Pueblo, Colorado. Like, why shouldn't we be proud of that?
That's true. I guess it still has that stigma, like you said. The stoner is still associated with being the unproductive member of society.
Right. And really what, to me, that goes back to is like, when they draft you for a war, you're less likely to be like, okay, I'm going right away if you're a stoner. And they realize that early on. They're like, these people kind of are a little too open-minded. They think shit through too much. Like, they're not just going to rush off to war when we tell them to. So they made it illegal, and at the same time, like, tied it in as a way to arrest people in like already impoverished and areas that were already downtrodden. Like, oh, let's make life worse on them and give them 5 to 10 years mandatory for standing on a corner with a drug. So it was just like a way for like Nixon and that whole crew to like, all right, these are the people we need to arrest. Let's just give ourselves an easy out. Like, let's make this super illegal. We can all arrest them for it. All that.
Definitely. That's kind of
conspiracy
theory. That's kind of conspiracy going down in there, bro. But I could see it. I definitely.
It's there for sure. It's pretty easy.
You're a pretty big conspiracy guy?
Not really, but that one is like that. Like, the other weed conspiracy theory is William Randolph Hearst, who is like the paper baron of America. So he had like all the newspapers back in the day, all the paper mills and the forests dedicated to paper. And the hemp decorticator was invented, which you were able to shred up hemp and make fiber and paper with it. So he saw that as a threat to his empire. You have this renewable resource that's literally a weed. Like, growing season is like half a year, and you got cord. You don't have to grow a tree. Like, a tree takes 100 years to get as big as they need it to harvest it. Unless you got real fast growing tree like birch, which they don't use a lot of. Anyway, he like kind of started the whole reefer madness craze. I don't know if you've seen that movie or maybe even the poster. But yeah, just trying to demonize weed, and also like, what are my other common enemies? Oh, I'm a rich white man. I don't like people of color. Let's tie it in and make it arrestable for them and blame like all the problems it creates on them, which was when the whole illegality of weeds really started. Before that, it was like, yeah, we just need it. We need it for rope and all kinds of different shit. But so yeah, I don't know. I just kind of think those are some conspiracies that are true, in my opinion. So it's easy to sometimes get sucked into ones that aren't, because you could see how easily that's possible. Like, just even like how the CIA is formed, like the dirty shit they did right away. You're like, oh, okay, we're capable of some fucked up shit in our government. So
Yeah,
it's
man.
it's believable,
That's
a lot of them, and then you get sucked into something that's like, oh god damn it, like I'm not a QAnon person. I fucking like those guys are so ridiculous. But look at how many people got sucked into that shit because it's like, oh, okay, if I believe like this one thing they're telling me because it's relatable, then I start believing everything down the line that they give me, and it's like it's a dangerous place to get into like super crazy conspiracies. But there's some that are fucking real, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree, but yeah, like you said, it's a rabbit hole that you could spend your whole life
Exactly.
fucking dedicated to that shit, and some people will say you wasted it.
Yeah, and I mean, look at how much time I just wasted on that. Like, imagine like researching it and really getting into it. Like, how much time got spent on that?
Yeah. So, aside from conspiracies, what else are you into? No.
Like I don't know. I like a lot of fun shit. Like, I like to go foraging for wild mushrooms. Like, since I'm a cook, I like to cook at home. I also run a restaurant essentially on wheels. One of my favorite things is foraging for local ingredients and like creating dishes out of shit that's around here, like cactus and mushrooms and pine nuts and all that sort of fun shit.
Mm.
So I'll go up to the mountains near here and forage mushrooms when the season is right. And this year was like crazy good year for it, which in Colorado, mushroom hunting is like a very specific time of year at specific elevations. So it's a lot more challenging than say somewhere that's like wet for half the year. You can find different types of mushrooms for that whole 6 months. But here it's like you got to really get there at the right time, like right in the middle of the spring to the middle of summer is like about the only time you can get it. So maybe like 2 to 3 months, and it's different varieties at different times and elevations. So that's always fun, going finding morels, porcinis, chanterelles. Like I've never found lobsters or chanterelles yet, but I find a lot of porcinis and morels mostly.
Wow, I've never went.
It's pretty fun. Like, it's a way to get out in the mountains and hike around and like without actually like having to hunt an animal or like plan a camping trip. Like, you can just go do a day trip if you know good spots to find them and
Really?
go walk around in the mountains. Even if you don't find anything, it's not a wasted day, you know.
Mm.
Colorado's a beautiful place like that.
That's true. So, did you go to culinary school?
No, I never did. I worked as a chef for Whole Foods Market was where I was officially titled a chef, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Previous to that, I worked in the food industry. I was a pizza guy for many, many years, like 7 years. I worked for like fast food restaurant noodles and company. So there's a little bit of cooking involved in that job. It's not super complicated, but that was kind of my intro to the food industry. So I got to see like corporate, fast running, high volume shit right away. And then I worked for Whole Foods Market in Cherry Creek, which is one of the 5 busiest Whole Foods in the whole country. So that was like definitely a challenge jumping right into that. And like being from a smaller town and then working like in a big city, having like the richest people in town shopping at your store. And man, I don't know if you've ever been to Whole Foods, but like the shoppers in there like love to prove you wrong and love to just be like the smartest person in the room. So that was like a fun culture shock for me moving from Pueblo to Fort Collins to Denver. And then like right away I'm like, oh shit, okay, I have to act like a certain way to get by at this job. But it was like a really cool learning experience for sure. And back in those days, like each store made all their own food for the prepared food section. So you had like real chefs in every store training their people. So like my bosses all went to culinary school, but they trained me to do what they do. And like I just kind of am one of those chefs that just kind of, yeah, I'm a chef. Like that's what I do for a living. I don't think I need a degree for that.
Mm-hmm.
I got an econ degree, and that kind of taught me a little bit about running a business, but nothing I didn't like just build on. You know what I mean? It definitely helped, but I already knew that from working. You know what I mean? Managing businesses for like Papa John's or Whole Foods or whatever. You learn the basics you need, and then school kind of teaches you a lot of those fine points.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it was a good experience. I just don't like the debt that I have now because of it. That kind of sucks. But
You went to CSU Pueblo?
CSUP and PCC before that, so got the transfer certificate. Went to CSUP for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Which was cool. I never graduated high school before that. I actually dropped out my senior year. So like more than anything, getting my degree was like me being able to be like, you know what, screw it. I'm no longer a high school dropout. If somebody asks like what degree I got or what school I went to, I could be like, oh yeah, I got a degree. And that was really like the only reason I wanted to go to school, like just to be able to be like, all right, I did it. I fucking did it. And it was cool. Like I learned a lot and I had a great experience. But I don't know if it was worth all
the debt,
the money. And like I went cheap too, PCC, CSUP. And there's still a considerable amount, you know, it's more than the new Accord.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of sucks. Like I feel like in a country like this we should have better access to education at less money. You know what I mean? Like my parents are the kind of the boomer generation, right? So when they went to school, it was like super cheap. Like I don't get why we can't do that again. Why can't we make school affordable?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Put her up here, man. She's going crazy right now.
She survived Halloween. It's always jacked up how people are mean to black cats. I love black cats. They're the shit.
Nah, she's an inside cat.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
But hell yeah, man. I think it's a good time to start breaking down some weed, and that she's not tearing up the set anymore.
Do that. Are you trying to talk? What? Say something.
So, all right. So this Kushmas we got here is Grim Bastard.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll give you that one.
Dope.
And what I got here,
Shit up.
I got Bruce Banner.
Sick.
Mm-hmm. This one's grown by Vision Quest. So, walk me through, like, I guess how you started your business, and you said you're...
yeah, for sure, man. So at the time, I was a dispensary manager out at STEM Beach, which is just south of Pueblo, Colorado. Shout out all my peeps out at STEM Beach. Doctor's Orders STEM Beach, as well as Colorado Cannabis Exchange that was out there. And I don't know, I just kind of like, I had this trailer, right? Like after I got my degree at CSU Pueblo, I worked for Fidelity Investments, like an investment firm. Got my Series 63, my Series 7, which are like licenses to like trade stocks and sell CDs and like insurance products as well, you know, like. And so I did that job, like, and what was cool is you got paid to get trained there. So I got paid to like go to school after school essentially, and I learned a lot about finance. But like ultimately that job was not for me, and like super stressed me out to the point where I was like not sleeping. My health was getting really bad just from the stress, and I didn't realize it at the time that that's what it was. But like I finally was like, yo, I gotta quit. Like I can't even do this. I can't show up to work no more. It's too stressful. It's too much anxiety. And like that night I slept like a fucking baby. You know what I mean? I still have issues with sleep, but it's never been as bad as it was like a month. I didn't get more than like an hour and a half of sleep from the stress, like induced by that for me. And for some people they can do a job like that, like it's nothing, but oh my bad.
No, that's cool. I'm just gonna fix it a bit.
But yeah, like for me that shit fucked me up. It just like I was thinking about all the transactions that I did throughout the day. And of course, like I didn't smoke weed at that job either, which fucked me up. Like my whole life I've smoked weed. Every job, like I work in food, so I go on break, I smoke weed. Every 2 hours, like a cigarette, you know what I mean? And that was like the first job where I gotta be straight faced, I gotta be sober, I gotta show up. And like those two things combined, the stress of the actual job and the fact that like I had to change up my whole shit. It just wasn't for me, man, and it got me thinking about what I wanted to do with my life. Like, I went to college, like that was the first piece. Like I wanted to not say I'm a high school dropout. And then I went to college, and then I got a job that's supposed to like make me happy, like because it gave me money. But that shit didn't make me happy. You just got more money, but you live in a place that's more expensive. Like, shit, I have a mortgage that's less than I was paying rent for a tiny little room in Denver, sharing a house with people. Like Pueblo's dope for that. Like I would have never been able to open my own business. And so I was at an estate sale with my folks.
Use that whole nug, bro. Use that whole nug too.
Damn, all right, word.
Yeah.
And it was like an auction, and I seen this trailer. It was just a 10 by 10, 10 by 14 blank trailer, food service trailer. Nobody bid on it the whole auction, so I was like, well, shit, I'm just gonna throw a lowball offer. And of course the owner's like, no, it's worth X amount. That's what I want for it. So I just kind of like sat on that for a few days since I didn't have to worry about the auction no more. And was like, you know what, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to do sloppers up in Denver. That was my original plan. And I started looking into that. I put together a whole pitch proposal, went to like small business entrepreneurship, like community led classes that were free in Denver, and started to like really think about like, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to open my own business? How much money do I need? What's the process to get that money? Like, and to do sloppers in Denver, which is it's a little harder to get a rig that meets Denver's specifications because it's got to be like top of the line, brand new, super nice water heater that's like super fast. Pueblo is just like a little more open to small businesses. So like also there's, I want to say like thousands of food trucks licensed in Denver County. So like they're like, we're good, we got enough. Pueblo like needs businesses. So it was just easier to open like a trailer style like I do. So I have everything I need. But my dad, essentially, who's a really brilliant like scientist before he retired, he was a groundwater hydrologist, like a geologist.
Oh, wow.
He's just a really process-driven kind of engineer brain type dude. And he helped me design the truck, get the water heater I needed. We built, the water system to get to the hand washing sink. And that's was one of the beauties of doing the Puffette was I was like, yo, I don't need all this equipment that you need to have like sloppers. You got to have a fire suppression system, a hood vent, like, I don't know. I wanted to say it was almost getting near $250,000 what I would need to start that food truck in Denver.
Oh my
and
gosh.
so at that point I was like, all right, I'm not doing that. Like, and the opportunity to get my house came up down here. So I was like, you know what? I'm going back to Pueblo. I'm going to rethink this. And I was at this super fun, like underground bong racing party that I go to. It's called Bongathon. And it's
Bong racing?
Bongathon, yeah. I actually participated in it this year.
Yeah, what is that?
So it's a party that's like invite only, private property, and you do bong racing. So it's like the contest I was in was quickest to smoke 7 grams out of a bong. So entrance fee for participants was like I want to say like $100 or something like that, and you get to keep the bong and you get to smoke the weed and keep the like little jar you get the weed in and the rolling tray. Like it was worth the $100 just for that. It's a sick ass bong like this tall. So I was like, I'm doing it. Okay, I'm gonna compete. And one of my buddies who's also been to quite a few of them runs Yeti Farms. Sean came by and was like, dude, you're in third right now, and this was maybe like 5-6 minutes in. I was like, fuck yeah, woo! Just like ripping it like as fast as you can, just pulling it through, you know what I mean? Because you got to smoke it all, and you also have to break it up. So I was just kind of chunking it up and going, and around like minute 7 my tube got clogged up. Like the down tube had so much burnt bud in it that it wasn't passing air anymore. And this was my first year competing, so I kind of choked at that point, like literally and figuratively. Like I started coughing like an MF, or like, because it was just stale smoke I kept trying to clear. And the guy who won he finished in 9.5 minutes. He's super impressive. He's like a weed athlete, like dude doesn't really smoke cigs like I do. Like he's a pretty healthy dude, so his lungs are working really good. And he's won like 3 years in a row.
What's the prize?
It's usually just like donated items from the sponsors. So lots of weed swag. Like you get a sick trophy bong that's like, worth 20 times the competition bong probably, or 10 times. So like a really nice custom bong that was made for the event is the trophy.
Damn.
So that's like the best thing. And then you get like whatever, like merch items and stuff are donated. There's like, it's a pretty good prize pack. You know what I mean? It's all just weed swag stuff. Like,
that's fire.
yeah,
Bongathon.
it's super fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, we need to have a Pueblo Bongathon.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, we need to stop regulating this stuff like weapons grade plutonium and start like really embrace the stoner culture. Like, why do we make it so corporatized and so like, now this is just another business where we got to wear suits and be chads? Like, nah, dude. This was like, they call them legacy growers now, but this whole business was started by people who were willing to risk going to prison for 10 years just to provide a life for themselves. For one, of course, you're not going to look past that. They're not like Robin Hood. They were trying to make money, but they were also providing like a needed medicine that we all agree is like has medicinal properties. We have medical cards in Colorado. So like these people were providing a medicine to people who needed it and willing to risk their asses for it. They're the ones we should be heralding, not these like corporate goons that moved in from out of not even our country or state. Like there's like Canadian investors that have been buying up a ton of dispensaries, and not to like hate on them. I don't know them personally, but you ain't from Colorado. Like it should be our local economy being bolstered. But I think like it was important to open up to outside investment because when it was Colorado only, it was a little bit stifled. Either way, I just like to rather vote with my dollar. Like I'll just still try to support the local dudes, just like I would hope people like come to the food truck or those same like-minded folks. They're like, yeah, we could get ice cream anywhere, but this dude carries like the highest quality ice cream in Pueblo. And I like, I don't want to allegedly the highest quality. I don't want to get sued or anything, but like the ice cream we purchase is from Colorado vendors. But what makes ice cream price different is the amount of air that's essentially folded into the ice cream in the ice cream making process. So it's called overrun. It's an industry term for ice cream. But the more overrun an ice cream has means the more air that's pumped into it. So let's look at like an ice cream that you would buy at the grocery store that's like 1 gallon plastic tub store brand. It's like $5. You know what I mean? Which a scoop of my ice cream I charge $5 for. But we do give a 6-ounce scoop, which is like a scoop and a half at a regular ice cream shop. And the amount of like cream that you start with and the amount of air that gets put into it is essentially what determines the value of the ice cream. So like if you weighed your ice cream tubs is kind of the best way to determine the difference in quality. Like if you took the cheap stuff, a pint of it, and you weighed it right next to a pint of Ben & Jerry's, which I consider to be pretty high premium, high fat content, low overrun ice cream that's available at grocery stores.
I love Ben & Jerry's,
as
bro.
well as Sweet Action, our vendor. They're amazing, local out of Denver. We use a couple vendors, but that's one of them. Like just low overrun, high milk fat content is what you're looking for in premium ice cream, or some people call it ultra premium ice cream. But like the stuff I buy, like wholesale cost is, like that cheap stuff you buy at the grocery store, it's at least like 5 times as expensive as that for the same gallon of ice cream. So like you got to consider that when purchasing ice cream if you're really nerding out on it like I do. Like, I mean, all ice cream is beautiful. There is no ice cream shame going on here. But you got to realize why the prices are different and be willing to pay more if you want that good stuff.
Definitely. So, having a small business in Pueblo, what would you say what would you say some of your biggest, like, I guess what was to start off high, what was one of your biggest successes in Pueblo so far? You've had this truck for 3 years, this November.
I think honestly it was just kind of when I realized like this has become like a Pueblo thing. And like I don't really try not to have an ego, and like I don't. But just a friend told me like, yo, like it's dope that you're like a part of Pueblo culture now, and like that just kind of was like a big moment for me. I was like, yeah, that's dope. I am like I'm from here, and people like are like into what I produce and come to the truck, and it's become like a little local tradition for at least for our regulars, and it's just kind of like a fun thing. And if there's one thing I could like, I don't want to say anything negative about Pueblo because I love this place, it's my home, but like there's not a lot of shit to do down here compared to a bigger city. Like living in Denver, every night you could go see amazing live music, you could go to an art show, you could, there's 100 different things you could do every night. Pueblo, we're a little limited, and especially last year during COVID, there really was not anything to do. And food trucks were set up to like serve people during that time. Like we actually got lucky as food truck owners, which is fucked up to say, but like we serve outside. We were already like meeting COVID regulations. The only thing that changed was we started wearing masks. We're already super clean. Chefs, like you've got like I washed my hands before I rolled this joint. Like you got to keep clean hands if you work in a kitchen. Like that's part of it. So we already did that. We already glove change and wash hands in between glove changes. So like the only new thing was wearing masks and social distancing. So, obviously in a small truck like that, we don't want to have like people working right next to each other without masks on. So that was like not too hard to do. Everyone was pretty like okay with that works for me, and was like wanting to wear masks when it was required, and we still do, honestly. Like, I noticed a lot of places in Pueblo people don't wear masks anymore. The employees, they don't really enforce any of that. So it's like, I don't know, I just still want to do it just because we're working with food, and it's such a sensitive thing already, with food safety, as far as like the temperatures you keep certain foods at, your preparatory surfaces, like everything's already kind of like pretty well regulated. So it wasn't a hard transition for food service people to just be like, okay, couple new rules, here we go.
Yeah, so kind of lack of like they go to your food truck and then what? You know, like they go to like kind of lack of events.
Yeah,
There used to
exactly.
be-
And at the time, like, so, when COVID was really going, there was no public events, but people could come to a parking lot and safely social distance and enjoy something together, which I thought was really like a beautiful thing to actually get to see, like, our community still coming out and doing shit safely when like everything was so hard to do. But it was cool to be a part of. And so yeah, like I don't know, that was definitely like interesting. And luckily COVID for us wasn't like a super big challenge, but like when we became like the event, it was like the thing to do. That was like a big moment for me too. It was like, wow, awesome, like we're a part of this community. And that to me is more than anything. And like also just being able to have employees and like help other people from Pueblo make extra money. Like, we're not like a full-time job, but we got a seasonal position. People can make a few extra bucks, which everybody needed. So that was a cool part too. Like just hiring on the first person, you know what I mean? That was a big moment, because I like to like, that's what community is, and that's what collaboration is. Like, you take like influence from everyone around you. So that was cool when Puff Puffette Pass like really felt like, yo, this is like a company now. Like, I have an employee. That's dope.
Yeah, man. I would definitely say you're a Pueblo staple. Anyone, if you're going on a first date in Pueblo, you're definitely going to get a fucking little ice cream there, bro.
Right. Hell yeah. So yeah, we're kind of getting into that slow time of year right now where it's few and far between before there's warm days. So we're kind of going to be limited, and I'm actually kind of considering hitting the road and doing like a little vacation with the truck. Like, not necessarily vacation, but take it down to a warmer climate like Long Beach, or maybe like Miami, Florida, even like Arizona or like Las Vegas, something like that. Just going on a little adventure with it and taking it somewhere in December and January. I'm not 100% on that, but definitely something I'm thinking about.
Yeah, that's I just dropped a whole cherry. That's a great idea, man.
It'd be fun to document too. People could see our journey it's probably just gonna be me, but I always say we, because Puff Puffette Pass is a company now, so it's like, I gotta use the royal we, right? Big Lebowski reference there. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have.
Hell yeah.
Classic.
Love that movie.
So, aside from taking it on the road, what other big dreams do you have for your business?
Well, like I would really love to. So I was actually a part of a pitch contest here in Pueblo a couple years ago, and it was a local food summit, and they did like an entrepreneur pitch contest, and my idea was to open my own ice cream production company called Fire Ice Cream, and that's still like kind of on the horizon hopefully for me. I'm just kind of trying to hustle up to it, but I'd like to create ice cream that is the ultra premium, like I talked about, high milk fat content, low overrun.
Create it.
But Pueblo-centric flavors. So, like, throw in my love of foraging local ingredients like the prickly pear cactus. And, like, the fruit on the prickly pear cactus, the pads on the prickly pear cactus, like pinon nuts, green chilies. Like, I want to really, like, obviously accent with other flavors, but feature Pueblo-centric flavors in an ice cream brand that could be sold throughout Colorado. And not only that, like also supply my food truck with my own homemade ice cream rather than having to purchase all wholesale ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Fire Ice Cream. That's a fire name, actually.
Thank you. Thank you. What's funny is one of the people, the panelist as part of that pitch contest, that was like his one. He's like, Fire Ice Cream. I don't know about that name. And I was like, Bro, I was like, obviously you don't know the younger culture because that is a fire name, bro. Like,
Yeah, it's fire. It's like an oxymoron. It's like
Right. And
that's
yeah,
fire.
exactly. Like ice cream and fire, fire and ice. Like, plus, like, I like fire shit.
Oh yeah, fire ice cream.
Like the fire weed at Rocky Mountain Blaze.
Hey, thanks for that.
Shameless plug. Shout out James
Hey,
and the whole crew at Rocky Mountain Blaze.
fuck yeah.
What up, Tony?
So you know them?
I do, yeah. Like I said, I've been part of the weed industry for a little bit in Pueblo, so I made friends, and good people are easy to make friends with. So
Yeah, they're awesome there, man.
absolutely,
Yeah, and they have fireweed, so it's easy to have a good relationship there.
for sure.
Yeah, go buy some of this fire. What do you think of it so far?
The
First view.
Kushness is fire. Like it. I mean, it's obviously a high yielding bud. Like that thing was huge. So you got like a nice weed to roll up for sure. I didn't even use a grinder on that.
Yes, you want.
Yeah. Let's trade
My
up.
crutch is kind of loose. I don't know how you made yours so tight.
So like I said, we had to roll up sticks and stems back in the day. And I remember that, like, going to house parties when I was, like, 16. And me and the homies would do joint rolling contests. So everybody would roll up, and whoever's, like, looked the best plus smoked the best, like, that was the beginning of my competitive weed smoking. Bongathon is the crescendo.
This is a beautiful joint right here.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, mine's kind of loose.
Hey, if it smokes, bro, that's what matters.
Great, yeah.
I actually won another joint rolling competition at an event called Super Bud Bowl. I want to say it was like 2017, but it was a speed contest. So you had to break up, roll up as quick as you could. I want to say it was a gram joint, so just like a regular small zigzag joint. No filter or nothing in it. And it had to smoke all the way down to the roach.
You had to smoke it yourself?
No, like the judges smoked it. So I rolled up the quickest. I did get to hit it though. I still smoked it. I rolled up the quickest, and then it smoked all the way to the end. And like, by the time mine was done smoking, some people hadn't finished yet.
Holy shit.
Like I've been rolling joints forever, and my dad always tells this story about my grandpa. Like he would drive a stick shift while smoking a cigarette and roll a cigarette with one hand. So he'd be rolling with one hand, then shift and smoke his cigarette. Roll that baby up and boom, have another cigarette by the time his other one was done. Like
Your grandfather did
I
that?
feel like it comes in my blood. Like they didn't smoke weed, but
Fuck, bro.
they
No.
were rolling up cigs
Yeah, they were also going like 40 miles per hour though.
with no seatbelts. Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. All right, so becoming a Pueblo staple is one of the highest points so far in your food truck's career.
For sure.
What about one of the lowest points so far? What do you think?
Oh, I mean, shoot, I'm human, so I get, like, owning a business is hella stressful. Like, I mentioned, like, I've had anxiety when I worked in the finance industry. Like, that shit never goes away. Like, I feel like people don't talk about enough, like, anxiety and depression are a fucking bitch, and pretty much everybody's got it. Everybody's got trauma of some sort. That's why there's so many addicts out in the world. Like, trauma is the gateway drug, not weed or alcohol or nothing else like that. Like, everybody got something a little fucked up that happened to them in their past that fucked them up. Like, no matter how small or big that is, it's significant to that person's perspective individually.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I struggle with that. Like, business isn't doing so hot. Getting towards the end of the season, we had, like, a couple really shitty weeks because of the fair and because of Chili Fest, and I wasn't able to afford those entrance fees. And you just reach low points like that where, like, the finances and the stress of it gets you. And not only that, like I said, I love, like, being able to employ people and having to be like, yo, guys, business ain't doing so good. Like, I got to cut hours back. Like, even though this ain't their full-time job and people know that coming in, like, it's hard to do a full-time thing except right in the middle of the summer. Then I can offer more hours because we're way busier in the summer than the winter times. But, like, crazy is this last weekend we did a trunk or treat event sponsored by Renewed Wholesale, used their space on Main and Abriendo. Awesome, like, used furniture store. They have really good eye and really good quality stuff in there. and the Sacred Bean Coffee organized a food truck trunk or treat event, and there was like 1,000 people there. I feel like
Holy shit.
that came through. It was crazy. I don't think any of us expected it to be that big, and it was amazing to see like Pueblo come out and support all of us. Because towards the end of the season for food trucks, like we really needed that, and that boosted me up. You know what I mean? Like just a couple weeks ago, I was super sad. Like, hey, I don't know. Like, that's when I started thinking like maybe I'm gonna take this on the road for the winter, because the winter is a real struggle here. Like, people that are ice cream diehards like me, we love ice cream in the winter, and I feel like a lot of people do. But it's just looking at my numbers over the last few years, it's like, nah, there's definitely less people buying ice cream in the winter, especially from food trucks. Like, if you have an indoor spot, people could come in, sit somewhere warm and eat ice cream. But if you're standing in line in the cold to order ice cream, then go and eat it in your car and warm up, like, it's just not quite as easy in the winter as it is in the summer, where you could just chill outside and eat the ice cream and enjoy the beautiful day. So, yeah, I think that's like the lowest, is just when you get in your head, like, is this worth doing it? I ain't making hardly any profit right now. Things are hard. Like, as an entrepreneur, that's going to be a big part of it. Like, I'm only in year 3. They say you shouldn't be, like, satisfied, like, they say you probably won't make profit within the first year. 5 years. This joint's kicking in, y'all. Having trouble putting sentences together. So, yeah, they say you won't profit with a small business in the first 5 years. So, I mean, by that standard, like, even a little bit of profit I eke out, I try to look at that as like, yo, I'm still making it. I bootstrapped this shit up. Like, I was trying to, I don't know if I finished that story earlier. Bought that trailer for a few grand. I want to say like $4 or $5 grand. And built it all out myself, rather than getting a giant loan and having to owe hundreds of thousands of dollars to start my business. I started it pretty much from nothing. A couple saved paychecks and a truck and a couple freezers, you know, and a waffle iron. And then I, like, working in business, restaurant business and cannabis business, I learned to build relationships with vendors, as a purchaser for Whole Foods, as a dispensary manager. I learned, like, yo, if you build the right relationship with your vendor, that's like another way to help you out. A lot of vendors will give you 14 to 30 days to pay your first invoice. Yeah, that's a small business loan right there. You buy your first inventory almost on credit, and you pay it a month later, which a lot of people don't understand, that, like, you can start something from almost nothing if you could work it right. And so I got a couple companies like willing to, like, yeah, sure, we'll give you 2 weeks to pay. And that's it. Then you could just start hustling from that point and saving everything you can, putting what you got back into the business until you built something bigger and bigger. And so, you know, hopefully that eventually works for me. Right now I'm still in that hustle phase, so we'll see where it goes from here.
Wow, man. Yeah, going deeper into that. So, I guess the drive to to ask for that loan, go deeper into that. What was that like, that mentality?
So, yeah, luckily I still haven't had to take a loan, but that pitch I did to the Small Business Association, saying, like, and also the pitch I did for Fire Ice Cream, I was asking for $250,000 to start that and giving a percentage of the eventual profits, you know what I mean? Like, giving a percent of the company to that investor. I think I was shooting a little too high. I could probably do it with less. And so that's my next goal, is to just hustle up to that less figure that I've got worked out in my head. Get a lease on a brick and mortar, get the ice cream machines I need, which are, you know, the price of a brand new car. Like, the ice cream machine you want to, like, produce enough to make it worthwhile is not cheap. So I may end up taking loans, but I really don't want to. So that's just kind of my mentality, is I'm trying to build this from the ground up. I don't want to involve, like, banks and corporate America in my business, because that was the whole point of starting my own business, was like, you know, I'm sick of working for these companies. I'm sick of, like, earning money for the same people while I struggle my ass off to just pay rent. And so that was, like, my whole idea behind moving back to Pueblo and starting Puff Puffette Pass, is I could do it for a lot less. And had I had the concept to just do ice cream and waffles in Denver, I wouldn't have needed all that money. But I'm glad that I came to Pueblo, because I love this place. My folks are in their early 70s, so every moment you got with your family is like a precious gem, you know what I mean? You don't want to waste that. Like, Like I have, friends that have lost their folks, and like I've seen that pain that they go through, and so I know I'm gonna have that pain, but I don't want to regret any day that I had with my folks. So that was a big driving factor for me to move back and do my business in Pueblo. So like I could be with my family, I could be a part of the community that raised me up, and hopefully make it a little bit more fun, if anything, like, something to go do. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to say I'm changing the world, but I'm just happy to be a part of something positive in my hometown. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You got any brothers and sisters?
I have an older brother, yeah, for sure. He's like 10 years older than me. Mm-hmm. Military guy. Very different ideology than me, but like that was a big moment for me too, was just to see my bro like proud of me. You know what I mean? Like came down and his nephew worked for me. That was also awesome, getting to be my nephew's first job. His son, sorry, my nephew. Those were other like big moments for me where I was like, dude, this is dope. I'm glad I did this. Like I just gave my nephew his first job and like taught him a little bit about like the world. And I wouldn't have had that chance had I not taken the chance on myself to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And just kept working for other companies and making other people money. Even if you're not making a ton of money and you're getting by, you're paying your mortgage, you got groceries in the fridge, like really, and you got people around you that love you, you got weed to roll up. What more do you really need in life? You know what I mean? So that's cool to be able to just say like, I'm doing this shit on my own now. But it's a scary moment for sure when you like, they say if something scares you, you should probably just do it. Just jump into that shit. So I just keep going.
Yeah, that's a great mentality, man. I feel like most people get caught up in their mundane day-to-day life. They don't even think outside.
I definitely did, for sure. For mm-hmm. a long time, I'm 41 now. I'm just finally figuring that shit out. Yeah, exactly, man. You just get stuck in it. And, like, it's easy to do the way our society's set up and the way, like, rent prices keep getting more, food prices, everything just goes up except your wages. So shit's got to break at some point. Like, it's difficult out there, and especially in a big city like Denver, where it's becoming like really gentrified and everybody gets pushed out to where, okay, now you got to commute 30 miles to get to your job. Like, and if you don't have a car and you got to rely on public transport, like that's like 4 to 6 hours of your day you're just sitting in buses. You know what I mean? Like potentially. So if it's a busy time, like you're working 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Yeah. Like, it's dope to get out there and do something for yourself. And I'm lucky in that way. Like, I'm lucky in a lot of ways. My parents are still together. They were great parents. Like, a lot of people don't get dealt that, like, nice hand of cards like that. And, it's hard to just jump and do something on your own if you don't have a support system. So, like, I got really lucky there. Just always knowing, like, no matter what, like, my family got my back. And I got a couple close friends. Like, a friend of mine here is an amazing artist in Pueblo, Clint Elliott. And he's just like one of my best friends. He's my roomie now, and he's an amazing like oil painting artist as well as illustrator. And just having people like him, great friends, your family to back you up if shit goes wrong, that's like part of the reason I was able to do what I did and start my own business and try to like do this shit from the ground up.
Definitely, yeah. I don't think. There's really not like a meaning to life, bro, if you don't have friends and family.
For sure.
To just hang out with, bounce ideas off of,
Absolutely.
Be yourself around.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. It's a great mentality to have. And you said you have 2 dogs?
I do, yeah. I got a Staffordshire Terrier, a big, tall kind of pit bull. He's lanky for a Staffordshire. His name's Otis. And then I got a half border collie, half blue heeler who just loves to play ball. Her name's Allie. That's like her whole life. Like ball is cracked to her.
I love that, man. Are they cool with cats?
Unfortunately not. They both have that dog mentality. Like,
damn. Then they're ops, bro.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. They're the kind of dogs that like the most innocent thing walks by, like a little kitten, and they're like, rah, 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 rah. Like a big scary person comes over and they just want to lick them. You know what I mean? They love people.
Yeah.
But they don't like other animals. Like, not so much the border collie blue heeler. She's pretty tolerant, but the Staffordshire's just kind of always been animal aggressive. He had been through some trauma. Like, I traveled to Korea when I was in school, to South Korea, and studied supply chain management in central like Korea at Changnam National University through CSU Pueblo.
Say Central Korea?
Yeah, like in the middle of South Korea, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
But from CSU Pueblo?
Yeah, exactly. But that was the school we partnered with and where we studied. And we got to go to Seoul and stuff. Where the hell was I going with this?
You were going with
So high right now.
that honestly, I don't know, but talk about going to Seoul.
Yeah,
South Korea.
Yeah, that was dope. It was an amazing experience. There was a professor at CSUP, Dr. Ju, and he was South Korean, and so he would lead a group to South Korea in the summertime. So it was like a shortened, condensed class that we got credit for. It was dope. It was like, I want to say 3 weeks long, maybe 2 weeks. It was really short. But we went to South Korea. We studied at CNU every day. And then on the weekend, we got to travel up to Seoul and kind of just like hang out, stay in hostels, go see different things in Seoul. We also traveled down to the southern tip and saw the Hyundai factory and went to the Samsung Museum of Innovation, which was like, I don't know, that whole city is like owned by Samsung and Hyundai. Essentially, like, it's like a corporate park, but huge. So they have all these really beautiful buildings. And then we got bussed into this museum and shown like all the stuff that Samsung has come up with, which they were a little upset because we're American students. We kept mentioning Apple. And at the time they're in a lawsuit with Apple. Apple was saying they stole patented and property and mimicked it. But like, what is industry if it's not like mimicking and like making your own version and like, you know what I mean? Like there's hardly any original ideas anymore. But I can't remember what happened with that suit. But they were super pissed that we brought that up. I remember that. And we also went all the way up north to the demilitarized zone. So you're literally at like a wall with chain link fence and you can look over at the Korean soldiers doing their like border patrol check and whatnot. That was kind of a trippy thing to see, like, this country's still at war. It's kind of nuts. Like, that war was a long time ago, and there's still, like, constant threat of, like, something popping off. Like, even though North Korea is not, like, super powerful, they try to show what they got all the time. And that was, like, a trip being somewhere that's, like, oh, damn, like, you see this in the news. Like, they do make you feel, like, super scared. But no one in South Korea is scared of shit. They're like, what? They're like,
really?
Whatever, that's nothing. They're like, he tries to blow up like an island where no one lives all the time. I was like, what, really? You guys aren't like scared about that at all? They're like, nah, if anything happens, like we got it and America will come in and help us, which is probably the situation, the way the media gets everyone all lathered up about that. But North Korea does seem like a pretty fucked up place. Like, I listened to that podcast with Joe Rogan and the person who escaped North Korea, and that was like a really harrowing story if that person's like telling a true story, which I believe them and they seem genuine to me. Like that's some messed up stuff that's going on up there. So like I get it. I wouldn't want to live there for sure. That's nuts.
She said that the kids would eat rats.
Well, yeah, like that's, people always talk shit about Korea, like, oh, they eat dogs and shit. Well, okay, well, if you lived in a country that got completely bombed out, there ain't like a bush or a tree left on that whole peninsula. What else are you gonna eat, yo? Like you gonna just die? Like I'll eat anything if I didn't have any food. But I love my dogs. I couldn't eat dog. Like I just can't do it.
Yeah.
But
you were saying that you didn't eat dog when you went there.
In North Korea, that's probably a delicacy. If you get a rat, you're probably lucky. You know what I mean? Like nothing is yours. So even if you grow a garden, you can't keep that food. That belongs to the state.
Yeah,
they distribute it. It's like, damn, that's a trip. I would not want to live in a society like that.
Yeah, it's such a good point, man. Yeah, but some people, I guess some people dream of that, but not really that far.
Right.
Some people dream of just
like if it didn't have a crazy dictator at the top of it. But what story throughout history doesn't have a crazy dictator at the top of it? Like, there is no utopian society. We just have to kind of figure out how to commingle with each other and like do the least amount of harm. I don't know how you do that. I'm not a politician. I'm not a general or nothing, but yeah, it just seems like a trip to me if you think about like politics and as the whole world. Like, just we're having our local election today. It's like election day tomorrow, I want to say, in Pueblo. Okay, so there's 100,000 people voting, but like how many people are on the world on the earth? I don't know. Google that. There's a lot of people. So how the hell do you manage all that? Like all that's happening. I don't know. It's just a trip to think about.
Oh yeah, and there's so many people unaccounted for. You know, there's people that we don't even have tally marks on. Oh, should we trade? I guess, bro. I've been
Yeah, sure.
smoking this one down.
What was yours called again?
Bruce Banner.
Oh, Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, classic.
And then we still
That
have
kind
this
of Blue Dream era generation of bud. Bruce Banner, Blue Dream,
grape.
Golden Goat.
What about these grape gushers?
Some gushes. That looks beautiful. Good trichome production. Good terps on it.
So you
Nice
you
cure.
you grow cannabis? Are you comfortable talking about it or no?
Yeah, I mean it's legal in Colorado to grow little weed, right? You can have up to 6 plants at your house, so I don't nothing crazy, but I keep within my 6 plant limit and bud 1 or 2 at a time, so you always got a little bit of weed.
Mm-hmm.
I do pretty rudimentary shit like right now, just like a little grow tent and some LEDs. You know, it's nothing crazy. But yeah, I love to grow weed. I was in the weed industry, so I kind of just wanted to like, especially when COVID hit. The whole self-sufficiency thing became like really important to me. I've always been a big gardener. I like to like cook and can food. Like I haven't really hunted much. I have the gear to like do an elk hunt, but I just haven't found the right situation or spot to do it yet. And just also I just haven't been motivated to do it. I've been focusing on my business but I'd love to go like produce my own food. Like I like to forage, so I'm taking that thought all the way out. I love meat. Factory farming is pretty jacked up, so like I would like to produce my own meat. If not, like maybe raise some animals at some point, have a little bit of land and raise my own food.
That's a dream.
But like, yeah, I mean,
Dogs.
just the thought of
Raise
like,
dogs.
okay, what happens if they close down the grocery stores? Like that's a scary fucking thought, right? What does happen?
Definitely.
We don't know. Our whole lives there's been fucking shopping malls and grocery stores, and our grocery stores are like the size of a cathedral in like a third world country. Like food is God here. Like we get as much as we want and it's all full of fat and sugar and yeah, that's what I sell. But everything in moderation, you know what I mean? Like we might as well enjoy like a dessert every once in a while. Just you can't eat that shit every day. And we're not open every day luckily right now, but you know, that's kind of my thought. And definitely when I'm able to produce my own ice cream, I'd love to start exploring avenues of like a safer, healthier ice cream, like stuff without sugar, stuff that vegans and keto and everybody could enjoy. I'm not just going to make traditional ice cream, but I will because that's what I love. But I want to like expand that thought too. Maybe hemp milk ice cream would be something really cool too.
That'd be awesome. I think that'd be a really popular thing, especially in Colorado.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know. But you were telling me that you want to have a storefront one day.
Yeah, so I'd love to have like a Puff Puffette Pass scoop shop fueled by Fire Ice Cream, the production company producing the ice cream to sell.
Yeah.
So that's definitely the next step in my puzzle. Just for finding the right lease and the right equipment and getting that going.
Mm-hmm. And you keep it in Pueblo. Just
absolutely.
Die hard Pueblo.
That's really what my dream is for Fire Ice Cream, and that I kind of said in my pitch is like, I want to make Pueblo's first ice cream brand that not only like features Pueblo produced ingredients that we grow like amazing produce here, as well as like Palisade peaches. You know, like Colorado in general produces some amazing food, and I just want to like showcase that in an ice cream, and also like eventually employ people of Pueblo if it actually took off as like a brand you could buy at national grocers. Then imagine how many like people we could give stable jobs to in Pueblo. That would be dope. So right now I'm just a dude in a trailer like hustling it up, but that's the dream for sure, is to like, that's what I would consider being like a successful entrepreneur. All the other stuff has been really cool, like giving my nephew a job, like becoming a part of the community, making my family proud. That was all really dope. But I feel like that would be the next step, is like create a company that's utilizing like ethical practices and local ingredients and employing people, and not only like people, but people that aren't typically given a chance. Like I have no problem with hiring people that have a felony. Like I feel like everybody deserves a second chance, and growing up in Pueblo, like, if you don't know somebody who has a felony that you love and you know is a good person, I don't know what neighborhood you grow up in, but not mine, for sure.
For sure, bro. That's facts.
You know what I mean? Like, family's family, and if people need a job, then they should be able to get it. So that's where I'm at. I want to, like, empower Pueblo as well as, like, empower myself and make this into something bigger eventually.
Yeah, that's very commendable, man. That's noble.
Going out.
I know. It's because we have really good topics, bro.
I got 2 microphones, Joe. Yo, what up?
All right, I have a real question. How often do people mispronounce your name?
My name or the company's name?
The company's name.
Pretty much every fucking time. No, like, our regulars know exactly because they come and they hear me say it. They, like, I used to do videos a lot. Like, I'd be like, yo, we're down at the Chamber of Commerce. What up, everybody? Hey, come on down. This is a special today.
Say it one time for the people.
Puff Puffette Pass.
Puffette.
Yeah, and I'll give you the breakdown on that if you want.
Yeah.
So, like, the waffle I use, they call a puffle, like, on the West Coast. And it's also real big in France and Australia. I want to say they call it an eggette in France. I can't remember if they call it a puffle or an eggette or what in Australia. It's pretty much everywhere now, but it originated in Hong Kong. That's the origin of it.
Oh, really?
It's called gaidanjai there, which means little chicken egg. I probably pronounced that all fucked up, but gaidanjai.
Gaidanjai.
Gaidanjai. Gaidanjai.
Gaidanjai.
I think that's probably as close as I'm going to get for sure. But, and it was a way to get rid of, like, the misshapen eggs that people weren't going to buy it in a basket of eggs. Like, yeah, let's crack them and make it into waffles and sell that on the street too. So that's, like, the real purest form of it is just an egg waffle served to you hot in a paper bag on the streets of Hong Kong. And then it kind of, like, spread its wings somehow and became, like, an international thing to where people are making it everywhere. The first video I watched was, like, a street vendor in New York City. And then it really blew up in, like, LA, Portland, which is where I've traveled the most to go try puffles at different places that also do, like, ice cream with puffles. So I'm not 100% original here. Like, I'm just bringing something new to Pueblo. Like I said, I found it on Instagram. I kind of was like, this is dope. I want to do this. And it's, like, beautiful. You can make, like, art with ice cream. And there's a ton of ways to do that, not just puffle waffles. Like, food is art in so many ways. And, like, so yeah, so I took that eggette and puffle and I smashed them together because we ain't in LA and we ain't in France. We're in Pueblo. So I got the puffette. Mine's, like, just the smash together. And it's also kind of the recipes that I found, like, a little bit of a marriage of all the different styles to make it, like, the most sweet and good with ice cream.
Mm-hmm. I see you got the merch on too, bro. That's a sick ass design.
Yeah, for sure. We got these available at the truck.
Did you design those?
25 bones. No, this is a local artist, Matt Reffick, actually. Creatures Crew did this one. That was, like, right when this was still a concept to me, and I hit up Matt, and he painted the truck for us. So that's all his original art on our truck. He's got it signed on the back, and then this was the logo we commissioned from him. So we love the logo. We're gonna keep rolling with that. I love street art, so I want to keep that going. And I'm actually gonna do some hoodies, limited edition hoodies. So you could pre-order those on social media if you follow us at Puff Puffette Pass 719 on pretty much any social media, and that's PUFFETTEPASS.
Puffette.
719.
719.
Yeah, it's long and complicated, baby. Love typing that email address out. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna do a limited run of tie-dye hoodies for $55. They'll be like those, like, pastel kind of yellow, green, blue tie-dye colors with this logo in the middle, and then we're gonna do a black hoodie for $40. So as soon as we get 20 pre-orders of each of those, we're gonna start that limited run on those merch for the wintertime.
Fuck yeah, man.
And we got hats available, same logo. And then we got some slogan shirts that are single color for $15. One of them is Buy Puffettes, Not Crack. Also not an original idea. It came from a shirt I saw in Portland that said Buy Art, Not Crack. So
that hits different in Pueblo.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Not that, like, crack is the worst thing in the world. Like I'm one of those weirdos that thinks all drugs should be legal and like taxed and regulated, and then like people have a safe place to use them, and there's an opportunity for those people to meet with like counselors who help them get clean and find a job and a place to live. Like the system that's been working in Portugal for like over 10 years now and is reducing recidivism and addiction. Mm-hmm. Like I was trying to say earlier, like trauma is the gateway drug, right? Like, so if you help people with their like mental health and to deal and face that trauma, like that's what ends addiction. Not like any amount of hospital beds or whatever. Like the person has to want to stop and they have to be able to deal with that trauma. So like the more we can help people do that, then that's how you lessen addiction. Just making shit illegal doesn't do anything. Just makes like cartels rich. We saw it with legal weed. Why shouldn't we do that with everything? Yeah. Sorry, man. This weed's got my throat.
No, that's cool, man. If you want something else to drink too, man, I got more water or whatever. But no, I agree with your point. I think the only thing stopping it is just profit margins. Whereas, and who's gonna get behind it? Who's gonna be the first person to be like, this is my cocaine. This is my illegal cocaine.
Right. It's a crazy moment, right?
Yeah.
When somebody's like, yeah, I just did some legal cocaine. Well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Like, oh, yeah, I just went and shot up at a clinic, like, and they watched me.
The closest thing we're to is mushrooms, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I love psychedelics. I'm not really into the hard drugs. I like weed. I like psychedelics. I don't even really like alcohol anymore. I used to drink pretty heavily as an early 20s, as a teen and early mid-20s. But eventually, just to me, it was like one of those bad drugs. Like, what's the benefit of this for me personally? I don't feel that good when I'm on it. It makes me feel like shit the next day and possibly multiple days after that if you overdo it. You could die like alcohol poisoning, boom, right there that night. You could smoke 4 pounds of weed and you'll fucking wake up and make some toast with jelly on it and drink a cup of coffee and be straight. But like, you have one too many fucking drinks and you're like, done.
You're right.
It's fucked up. Same with hard drugs. One too many lines, one too many CCs. You slam it too fast. Whatever it is that you're doing that's dangerous for you, like, weed ain't like that. So I love that about it. Psychedelics you could definitely overdo though. I feel like if they become like a daily routine, it kind of loses its potency and loses its meaning a little bit to me. But I love using them like as a way to like just open my mind. Like when I found psychedelics as a young person, like that was one of those things that was like, damn, I never thought of shit that way before. Like the next day, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of makes you a more like accepting person, at least for me. Everyone's perspective and brains are different, but that's why I loved weed and psychedelics. They just made me like a more open and receptive and loving person, and also like just showed me that we're kind of all the same person. Like if you see somebody else like that's struggling, that's an addict, that's in prison, they fucked up, they did something wrong, like that's still you. Like we're all the same energy. That's just you that grew up in a different house, maybe in a different city or neighborhood, or even just the house next to you. And like their shit's totally different than yours, but you're still the same fucking energy. You came from those same ancestors. Like that energy of the ancestors of like everywhere, you know what I mean? Like that's something that like I've tried DMT before. That was a pretty mind altering experience and like kind of changed my like thought processes going forward as far as like just being able to like self-evaluate and let go of like my ego a little bit and kind of just look at, hey, what's best for like everybody around you and you, and put a plan together and do it. Like I don't want to say DMT did that for me, but it definitely like opened up my mind to start making different choices for myself. And yeah, I don't know. That was really cool. Like it was right before I went to college. Mm-hmm. And like the experience I had, I kind of felt like I was talking to someone else, like another being, after I kind of really got into it. It's like a roller coaster, right? Like at first you kind of feel like, what the fuck's going on? Oh shit. And then boom, you're just like out. And it was like a total of maybe 5 minutes. And I felt like I lived like a lifetime. It was nuts. And whoever I came to after like the crazy visuals I went through was just like, yo, dude, like, you're a good person, bro. Just keep keep doing what you're doing, man. It was like this kind of crusty, like stoner voice because they knew I'd respond to that probably. Or like if this is your self-conscious, that's what I thought I would respond to best. So like it was just like, keep doing what you're doing. Be a good person, man. Like make amends for the shit you've done in the past. Like try to be the best person you can going forward and do what's right. Like
That's what they told you.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly, but that was the message I kind of got after the experience.
Wow.
Like from what I could remember of it. But it was like crazy visuals like that you can't really explain, like colors you've never seen, like a color that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? If you try to think of that, like think of a color you've never seen before.
Exactly. That's impossible.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like it's hard to explain what the fuck's going on. And like I said, like you feel like you're talking to an entity, but it's in reality most likely what it is your brain is just kind of creating scenarios, and this particular pathway that goes through your brain's chemistry, like I don't know, just kind of like gives you similar messages, because a lot of people get that similar thing. Like it's like a very comforting, like almost like a mentor telling you what you need to do. And that's why I kind of feel like after that experience, like we are all kind of one energy. Like, so every ancestor of every person that's ever lived kind of meshes together in a big like pond, essentially, or like a ball of light. And a new person's born, they break off from that. Or like a person dies, they go back into it. So like we're kind of all a baby of the shared experiences of like every living person before us.
Wow.
That's how we progress so much, and we have fucking IMAX, and we're podcasting like 124 hours like in a row. You know, I don't know what I'm talking about right now.
Maybe
Nobody does a podcast that long.
Maybe I need to do DMT.
Google it. What's the longest podcast? Right?
There's like
There's
sleep.
probably somebody trying to be on Guinness Book World Records.
There's sleep casts when people will just cast their sleep
on the pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people filming themselves eat.
Exactly.
Or like do dabs like I used to do when I worked in the weed industry. Like who wants to see that? Yeah, you're doing a dab. Congratulations.
I like when people take the
That's me.
fucking big ass dabs, bro. Like the 20,
For sure.
20
like
gram
got the
slabs.
Big bucket and
Yeah.
there's like 3 people torching it.
Yeah.
That's some fun shit. Like bongathon's not that like dangerously crazy, but smoking bongs fast, like I was like, oh man, my throat was cash, like more than these joints for sure. Trying to smoke 7 grams in like fucking 9 minutes or whatever. But it's dope. It's like, you know, It was fun, man. Like good experience for sure. I'm glad I participated and I got to keep like the competition bong, which was dope.
Hell yeah. All right. So do you want to let the people know any upcoming things where you'll be, or any upcoming
absolutely.
ideas?
When is this releasing, like right away?
Hopefully tomorrow.
Okay, so this weekend, so what's that, November the 5th?
Yes.
6th, right around in there. We're going to be Friday at Walter's Brewery from 3 to 7 p.m., Saturday at Renewed Wholesale from 3 to 7 p.m., and Sunday at the Chamber of Commerce from 3 to 7 p.m. And you can follow us on social media at Puff Puffette Pass 719. And we always post up our schedule. You could also just Google that. Google Puff Puffette Pass. Look at our photos. You can see our schedule.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Thank you for having me, bro.
For sure, bro. I fucking loved having you on.
Getting high.
Hell yeah. We'll freaking smoke another one. We'll chill and talk about it.
All right, right on, man.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. This has been Street Champs. Thanks for tuning in.
Much love, Pueblo.
Yes. Like, comment, subscribe. Pueblo proud.
Do that. Like
719. Peace.